to another episode on the Solent Warrior. Now we've come round to a few sandbars that I know near the Isle of Wight that we are hoping to find a few Plaice off. We're testing a new few products today. We've been sponsored by Lee Guitar. Search Lee Guitar on YouTube, you'll find him. He's going to be making all the music for the channel, so hopefully on this video you're going to get a few previews of his music. Now we're sitting on these sandbars. We're going to get Plaice and bass here. We'll also hopefully pick up maybe the odd turbot and the raise. The other product we're testing here today is a Bluetooth microphone. Now we've been getting a lot of wind noise in our videos, so we'll see how this gets on, see how much better this is, but fingers crossed the audio on this is going to be a little bit better from now on. Now, just to show you what we're using. Now, when we're fishing for the Plaice, I like to use sea LEDs. Glow. They glow in the dark as well, so they're great at night. All I'm using, we've got rag and lug baits, and I've opted for black and orange beads with a few little silver spinners on them. So it's a long flowing trace, 2 down. So we'll get this sent out and see if we can find a few fish. I'm going to be fishing with, let's get this one popped down here quick. There's a lot of tide at the moment. Should start easing back. With this particular mark, we'll have to stick with slightly heavier rods. I'd like to use very light rods. This is a medium to stiff spinning rod, so you can have a bit more weight on it. It can hold up to 150 grams, so that's good. We're going to use a slightly lighter spinning rod for when the tide eases off. Fingers crossed, we should be able to find a few fish. We have already fished this mark this year, and there are Plaice already showing on it. We just want to find one of them 4 or 5 pounders on it. They will start coming in. They generally at the beginning of the season, you'll get the smaller fish, and as it gets on, we'll start picking up bigger fish. What we'll do is we'll get the other rod set up, and I'll bring you back when we're finding some fish. We've got a rod that I've sent up tide with a mackerel bait on it, in the hope that we find an early turbot or a few race. We've got just ragworm, straight ragworm on this, and a mix of lug and rag on this rod. There's quite a big swell. I mean, you can't see it on the video. It's quite a big swell today, which I never like to have much of a swell when I'm fishing for Plaice, because your baits are lifting up, and I mean this mark, it's too small to drift, so we sit on anchor on this mark. Was that a bite in the background then? Now I'm fishing with black and orange beads and little silver spinners on the hook length. Some people swear that a bit of bead and bling can attract the fish. Some people think it doesn't. So there's no harm in it. You know, it's not going to put the fish off, so why not? Let's see how we get on. I'm quietly confident today that we're going to find a few fish. I've just been getting a few taps on this rod. Bit of weight there, but I think it's probably a dogfish. Yeah, that's going to be a dogfish, surely. Oh, don't know. What we got? Oh, there you go. What a brilliant start. First cast, and we're straight in to a lovely winter place. Look at that. Now he is pretty spent. I mean, that would be it's a pound, maybe a pound and a half. There you go. Get that fag out my mouth. Look at this. And he's hooked ever so brilliantly just in the mouth. There we go. Lovely. Great start. We'll pop him back. I don't tend to keep many Plaice. I don't really, unless it's a £4 fish, I don't really like the meat from it. I prefer, if they're big fish, then I'll keep one. But anything sort of under £3 will go back. Massive shoal of fish just scattered on the surface over there. Oh, that's why. There's dolphin. That's lovely. There's dolphins rounding up a load of fish over there. That's nice to see this early on in the year. Well, we better get them baits back down and find a few more fish. Just starting to pick up another. Yeah, there's a few rattles on this. Let's have a little look. Yeah, there's a fish on there. Looks like it could be another little Plaice. Get out of it. Feels like it could be another little Plaice, he says. Little tiny whiting. What I've got, I'm sat on a sandbar at the moment. There's another little bite on the other rod there. I'm sat on a sandbar at the moment, and there's one big, so there's lots of little sandbars, and there's one big one, and it's actually got rocks found through the middle of it. So what I've done is I've sat, so I'm fishing just down the back edge of it. A few little taps on this then. Hopefully we don't start picking up lots of little whiting. That'll be frustrating. Yeah, what I always find with the Plaice is they'll be sat out of the tide down the back edge of sandbanks. So when you're drifting, you're coming over all these little sandbanks, and the Plaice will be in the little gullies and dips. When your bait goes over the top of them, they'll start following it. But when you're fishing at anchor like I am at the moment, generally, if you can get anchored one side of the sandbar, so you're sat on top of it, and then you're fishing down the back edge of it. That's the idea. And it's working. We've had a nice place already. That could be the curse of the first cast. Us fishermen are a bit superstitious, and generally, if you catch your target on the first cast, it's going to ruin your whole day. But last week we done the same. Last week on our last episode, we had a Plaice on the first cast, and we still managed to pull out 8 between us, with a few nice bass chucked in for good measure as well. Now we're in a bass ban at the moment in the UK, so we can't keep any bass, which is unfortunate because there's some nice fish around. It's good sport, but I think it's the 1st of March we can keep one per day per angler, and then I think it might be July we can take 2, which is a shame, but it's still good fun catching them. The fish bait's not doing a great deal at the moment. We've got that about 40 yards up tide of the boat with an up tide lead on it. As he speaks, we'll get a bite on it. Let's have a little look. Now, if you see a bite, let's see if I can get this turned around a little bit. If you can see a bite when you're up tiding, you're doing all right, because there's quite a lot of slack line. So I'm just taking up the slack at the moment. No, it came off. And the bait is still in good condition, and that's good. That means dogfish hasn't ragged that around. Now, the only other fish that'll be taking this size mackerel bait like that without muller in it is a turbot. So we'll get that sent straight back down. What we're doing, like I said, with the up tide, is we're sending the lead right up tide of the boat, and then I leave a nice big belly in the line. So it actually looks like I'm fishing down tide, but I'm not. And the loop in the line will pull that grip lead backwards and dig it right in. I was a little bit hasty on that, and maybe I should have left that, because that was quite a good bite. Be brilliant if we can find a nice big turbot this early in the season. Very nice. Just starting to bang around again. Yeah. There's a fish on that. Ooh. Staying nice and deep, which is good. With the dogfish, they tend to, I say this is going to be a dogfish now, but they do tend to push out the back of the boat, the dogfish. Oh, it's another lovely place. Oh, it's a chunk as well. Oh, get it back in the boat. There you go. He's taken both hooks, the greedy git. There's some fine plaice on this mark at the moment. So that top hook is just through his lip, and the bottom hook is wolf right down. So what I'll have to do is I go in through the back of the gills, and then come out of the mouth without touching the gill rakers, mind you. Come out of the mouth with a pair of forceps and just loop the line around them, take them backwards, and you can turn that hook round inside. What a lovely fish though. There you go. Brilliant little morning out here. Let's get him unhooked, and we'll get him sent back. Right. Just out of curiosity, so he's 36 centimetres. Make sure I don't drop my phone. Gone. Well, that was a nice bite. Yeah, he's on. That feels like a nice fish. But on these spinning rods, dogfish can feel heavy. Be nice if we have another nice big Plaice on this. Oh, there you go. Look, even, I mean, that is a heavy lead for the rig, but even with a little tiny dogfish on like that, what they do is they curl right up into a ball and make it feel really weighty. No more of them. Hopefully that's the only one of them we find today. I better get both these rods back in the water. Seems the fish are well on the feed. Now what I like to do, if I've gone 10 minutes without a bite on either rod, I'll just reel in 3 or 4 turns and just pull that lead slowly backwards. Sometimes that can induce a bite from a Plaice. You'd be surprised how long they'll sort of hang around the baits and sort of scoot around them, and just as it starts moving, they think they're going to lose it, so they'll dart at it. I mean, it happens very often when you think, right, I'm going to rebait, and you start reeling in really slowly, give it a few jigs, and then it goes, and you know the bite's hard on it. Then got a funny feeling we're going to get a big old fish today. If we can find one over £3, I'll be so happy. And I think we will today. There's a better stamp of fish here this weekend than last weekend. I think we probably had more Plaice by this point, but they're all very small, sort of palm-sized fish, with a couple of decent ones chucked in. Now, both of them Plaice have been, you know, specimen Plaice, so it'd be lovely if I could show you a turbot today. And we're just starting to lose the tide. We're coming up to high water. Now over high, just as the tide starts easing off, over high and the first little bit of the ebb will be the prime time, I think, for a nice big Plaice. Getting lots of little rattles and bangs, but I think it's probably whiting, which I'm hoping. I mean, the problem is when you come over the high tide, the dogfish also come on the feed as well, pretty hard. It's funny, so when you're fishing the beach, as the flood, I'll normally fish the whole flood from low tide up and then a few hours down on the ebb, depending on the mark you're fishing. But generally, once you get to high tide, the fishing dies. And then once you start getting a run the other way on the ebb, it'll start picking up again. But when you're out on the boat, especially with the Plaice fishing, as that tide eases off, as you're starting to get to slack, you'll start picking up a few fish. Now, it's different for if you're fishing for bass or cod, you want that running tide. Got to figure all this stuff out. It's good fun. Right, we're going to get another rod out for the Plaice. So we've already got 2 rods out for the Plaice, but we're and 1 rod out with a fish bait on for a ray or a turbot. But we are going to go with another rod, and this is a wishbone rig. So what you've got is 2 hooks beaded that can slide in and out of each other, and they've got little stops so you can change the length. So what I tend to do is have them slightly offset like this. There you go, untangle it. So I have 1 further down and 1 further up. You can see these little stops here. I mean, generally these are meant for drifting. They can get a little bit tangled, but let's get this baited out and get it sent out. and I've opted for a gripless grip lead from Sea Weights. Now, this thing glows like absolutely anything at night. It's brilliant. We've had some really good fish picking up these, and not the, just a little bit of attraction, I think. But they're great leads. Check them out on Facebook. I'll get this baited up and let's find some more Plaice. We've got a greedy amount of rods out now. We've got 3 fish in the back for the Plaice, and then just out of camera we've got an up-tide rod with our fish baits on, hoping for a turbot or a ray. Was that a bite out of the corner of my eye when I turned around then? Not sure. Doesn't seem to feel like much weight on it. Like I said, a few turns and a few bounces of the lead, if you have had a few knocks, can bring a Plaice on. Let's see if that develops, and if it does, I'll bring it back. But there's definitely a little bite on that. I'm sure there was. And that's a bite. While I'm sending this one back out, this is having a little go. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure, Yeah, there's something small on that. There it is. Ooh. Bring it round here. Yeah, this feels like a Plaice. Oh, does it? I can't tell in this tide. Oh, God. Now, we are getting dogged out at the moment, unfortunately. Not what we want to see. Hopefully, once this tide starts turning a little bit more, they'll come off the feed and then Plaice will come on the feed. But you'll have to fight through them for the minute, unfortunately. Right, we finally got some tide back. So we've just been sat for about a good hour on slack tide of no bites at all. Is that camera a bit better? Yeah, so we've been sat here on slack tide of no bites at all. And I just brought all the rods in because they were just all crossing lines as the boat was trying to swing. Sometimes when you get a little bit of tide like this, I mean, we're on quite a small tide at the moment, the leads will actually stop you swinging round. But now we have swung round and I've re-anchored. So we've anchored the other side of the sandbank I mentioned earlier. So we're fishing down the previous side. And it's just starting to pump through now. So we've got all three baits back in with ragworm and lugworm for the Plaice. And I'm just going to get another uptide rod sent up there. Now, I was just on a video call with a good friend. He was catching some fish and my rod bent over, so I couldn't film this one. But we found another beautiful Plaice. They're getting, see, he's nice and chunky. There's a lot of meat on him. If you wanted to keep him, you probably could. I'm not going to keep him. He's going to go back, but it's hard to get him in the frame properly without him curling up. There you go. Lovely. Right, let's get him unhooked. I think he's only hooked. We might be lucky with this one. Might be able to just bar him off. Let's have a look. No, that hook's too far to bar off. So what I'll have to do the method with, oh, little tap there. I'll have to do the method where you go in through the gill. So I'll bring you back and we'll get him released. Right, there we go. Now I'm going to get this released quite quick because we're getting another bite. I think the Plaice have just come right on the feed, hopefully. Yeah, that feels like another Plaice. Ooh, feels like it could be a nice one, this. No, just dropped off. There's a little whiting on the bottom though. Ah, I felt like it dropped off about a couple of meters under the boat. What a shame. Fish are on the feed though. We've had a little quiet spell and it's just starting to kick off again. So we better get these rebaited and get them in there. Right, we're into a fish here. I didn't see a bite from that at all. I think it's probably a dogfish. But we'll treat it as if it's not. Oh, there you go. Lovely. Oh, that was lucky. He was just holding on to the bait. Another chunky one. There we go. Last fish of the day. We were just packing up. Yeah, lovely fish. See if I can hold them up a bit better. Oops. There we go. Lovely. Right, we'll pop him back. Never know, I might have one on the other rod. Right, that's us all packed down. We managed 4 Plaice, handful of whiting and a handful of dogfish, and it's only midday, so we've done all right. I've got an hour and a half steam back to the mooring, so we've got some motoring to do. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out massively, and it's completely free. Thanks to Lee Guitar for sponsoring the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.